cool. Vocal dope in the booth. Eric Brick be the truth. That's why I get the.
Let's side by side, together as brothers. Can't nothing stop us. Nothing.
The whole goddamn department. There's all this money to be made, and I'm somehow supposed to be playing by the book with these motherfuckers?
Never giving up when I'm in my zone. I was gonna die when I lost my soul.
Jackpot, motherfuckers!
When I lose control. I don't see a light when I lose control.
So these cops caught lying and with their abusive behavior remained on the street.
They did.
If it is the feds who are on this, the case could go on for years.
What case?
What's going on, YouTube? We back in the Low Key Cave, Keyshawn Knobs YouTube page, aka Mr. Low Key, and we are back with another TV show review, and we back with We Own This City, season 1. Well, this is a limited series. This not gonna have multiple seasons, so just the limited series of We Own This City. If this was episode 6, and this is part 6 review, and if I'm not mistaken, this is the season finale of this show. I've definitely enjoyed this. I enjoyed it for the storytelling. I enjoyed it for the realistic takes on everything. I didn't enjoy it for what it was showing. I didn't enjoy it for the images. I didn't enjoy it for the reality check, really. I didn't enjoy the reality check, but this is why the people behind the wire are so good at what they do. And for anybody asking that reasoning of why we haven't got a Wire 6 on these or this and the third, I'm really glad the way they did this show, as far as it's a good old exchange between the co. And shout out to the guy Trent Williams, as far as the guy playing the character. I forgot the guy's name, but she's having a conversation with this guy, and I'm gonna get to it. But I remember Ed Burns or whoever is behind the wire saying something as far as we're not working on the show because they primarily did the wire to show things that was going on, particularly in Baltimore, and to see if that would bring about change. And as you can see, that show was like early 2000s or whatever. We 2017 with this show. It's currently 2022, but I'm just saying, as far as everything that they shown, as far as everything that they put on the screen or whatever, has anything really changed? Particularly in Baltimore, has anything really changed? So if you understand, Ed Burns and them, this wasn't about, because at that time I only think The Wire was as popular as it became. But to me, I don't think those guys behind the wire are doing this for, like a snowfall. Not disrespectful to people who do snowfalls or the powers or whatever, but that's not what these shows are about. This show is putting that mirror up to America, basically. Because think about it, even with this show, We Own This City, was it any big shootouts? Was it it was some car chase scenes here and there, but it was more in the frame of like watching a live TV show or something, like a live cop show, like the First 48 or something. That's what this was really like, watching it or whatever. But it didn't take the experience away from me. I wasn't bored, never. I was so intrigued with this story and so intrigued with everything that was going on, corruption and all of that. It never lost my attention. But yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say as far as We Own This City. As far as what I felt about the series overall, I enjoyed it. So let's go ahead and get into it. We started this off with my man Wayne Jenkins, and man, if John Bethrow does not get some type of Emmy nomination, some type of award for his performance in this show, it is a crime. It is an absolute crime, man. I mean, you already had these people from The Wire not really getting their recognition stuff. I feel like awards don't matter. We are already praising them, every day as far as the performances of everybody from The Wire. And I really, really enjoy seeing those cameos in here. And I feel like Jamie Hector, as far as him playing Sean Steele, he did it. Especially in this last episode, man. I was with him as far as Sean Steele and the whole thing with the anxiety, everything he was going through this whole episode. But starting off this episode, we got Wayne Jenkins pretty much he back in the interrogation room, and this is more of a closing argument, not even the court procedures, but to me it's more with the FBI coming in with their closing statement saying, yo, we got everything we need now. We basically showing you what we charge, well, not really what they charging him with, but basically his deal. What deal you willing to take? What deal do you want to take? And they basically what they coming in there with. But my man Wayne Jenkins, bro, the denial in him, it's like, at first I thought he was just on some shit where it's like, nah, I'm gonna get away with this, but it's more of him believing that he's innocent. No, I'm talking about he believes that he's innocent. He believes, yeah, I did this in the third here and there, but it wasn't that bad, or this and like he believes this. He straight up believes that. Why are y'all coming at me like this? I am one of the most popular, biggest cops in the city of Baltimore, and he is so enthused with this, and I really just, it takes the, like, just looking at him and seeing how he really takes or indulges in himself the way he is as not only just an individual, but as a police officer. Like, he really believes that he's this guy, this superhero. Like, he believes that he didn't do anything in the wrong, and it really shows how, even going back, because they do some flashbacks, and as far as I know, they are mainly in 2017, right before he's going into the whole thing. Well, they already was in investigation as far as the FBI, but it's really right before they're getting caught up as far as getting arrested or whatever. But it's with him going to court procedures or whatever, involving his cases or whatever. Majority is, I think, being thrown out, or not really thrown out, being dismissed or whatever. And it's because of things he's done. But then it's the thing where he start hearing his name around the apartment. You know, they got a bad rap. He's either a thief, he's stealing, dealing drugs, all this in the third, man. And it's the denial in him when he's sitting. Even the cops are looking at him laughing like, bro, come on, bro. We got wiretaps. We got witnesses, cooperating witnesses. And that's really what hits him. It's the cooperating witnesses. Because the whole thing with him is he held, like, they gonna hold it down. Like, he felt like everybody was going to keep it on the low, and he felt like his guys, as far as the people he had as part of the gun trace task force, was going to hold it down. They wasn't going to talk, especially I feel like he thought certain guys, well, mainly his main guys, because if I'm not mistaken, there's certain ones who did not talk, as far as I think the supervisor didn't talk. We're going to get to that, though, when we get to the court procedures or whatever, what the sentencings of the officers or whatever, as far as the gun trace task force. But it's really him, man. He's sitting there like, nah, my guy's not going to tell on me, or nah, I'm innocent, or no, I did not do this. But it's one thing in particular where catch the officer's attention, where he's like, one thing, he ain't denying stealing or whatever, it's the drug dealing. He's like, I didn't plant those drugs in a certain spot, which is going back, I think, last episode when they had the whole car chase, and he ended up running into somebody. Well, they ended up being a bad wreck or whatever, but you know, they had already searched that vehicle after the wreck and they didn't find nothing. But then they went back and Sean ended up finding something. So he's brung into questioning, but they let him know that it's really not him being a suspect, it's more of a witness thing. So he's being brought in for what he did when he used to work with Wayne Jenkins. And you know, leaving off that last episode, once they were officially arrested, he went into this whole anxiety attack like thing. And it's on 1000 in this episode. Like, this nigga is paranoid in this episode, man. And that's where I was like, okay, he was obviously a part of certain things, but it wasn't really the fact that he was a part of certain things. It was the main thing of, did he plant evidence on somebody? Like, did he plant drugs on an innocent individual? And I was sitting here like, oh shit. So now they playing this whole thing, because they never really expanded on that, or they never really put it down that he had planted that. I was at the thing that maybe he had planted it for Wayne, or I don't know, but maybe Wayne had somebody else planted there, and then Sean had found it later or whatever. I was thinking all those type of scenarios, but either way, he knew what Wayne Jenkins was doing as far as Sean. He knew the things he was doing as far as especially the stealing or whatever. Because if he even didn't take the money or whatever, which they still kind of don't relate that, did he take that money or whatever? But obviously he was a part of certain things with Wayne, because in this episode, man, Sean Steele, bro. Like, I don't know the ins and outs and the stories behind everybody who was a part of the gun trace task force. It's including including Sean Steele, but I did not know he would go to the extent that he went to, thinking that he was going to either be a witness or he was going to end up being charged, because the FBI agents do come into the play when something goes down with Sean, where he ends up saying, well, nah, he couldn't have been charged, but he was like, yeah, he can be. And I think that's where that was leading to, because he got a whole thing where he's just the whole day, the lawyers are calling him, like he getting these calls, like he is so paranoid. And it get to a point where I'm like, he starts doing certain things with this partner he got, as far as they going out, as far as they going out or whatever. And I don't know if they got a caller with it, but I know he just taking his partner out or whatever, taking him to alleys, then he taking him to his old post or whatever. But I did not have no idea what he was planning. I was thinking, oh shit, is he about to like try to sabotage the part? Like, is he trying to go on a run? Like, what is he gonna do? But then to find out what he ends up doing, which is basically killing himself. And the way he does it though, I was just like, oh shit, I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming. And I just was like, damn, once again, shout out to Jamie Hector, man. He played this role. I really, really enjoyed his performance in this show or whatever. I can't say I enjoyed his character. I feel like his character was kind of in and out. Like, he knew things, but he wasn't going to really step up to, like, the guilt. The guilt is really, I feel like, my bad, y'all. The guilt, to me, is what really started to get him and affect him, especially in this episode. It was a little bit of anxiety, but it was more than anything, I think, was that guilt. And it's like, man, my man was out here, and I did not expect him to go that route with what he did or whatever, but that was definitely a shock to see or whatever. But going back to Wayne Jenkins, this is where we come in as far as him making the whole play, but the drugs being planted, saying he didn't do that or whatever. Then we go into the whole thing with the gun trace task force. My guys, and this is where the lawyers are trying to tell Wayne Jenkins, well, the cops, the FBI, like, cooperate witnesses. Like, your guys are telling on you. And they go into this whole montage with my people telling everything. And to me, it was more the gun trace task force as far as these individuals basically saying, like, we was stealing, yeah, we was doing what we was doing, but the drugs and shit, like, they was pretty much saying they wouldn't turn it into evidence, but they wasn't selling. Like, they would dump it or something because they didn't want to go to the whole hassle of standing in line, going to the police station, signing the papers or whatever to evidence and whatever and all that. But not Wayne Jenkins. And that's how they said, not Wayne Jenkins. And this is where we come into him going to make the moves with the bondsman over. My man started basically dealing because the cops was like, okay, was he taking it and reselling it back to the drug dealers or whatever? Like, well, nah. Wayne was on a whole different level, man. And that's where we come in with the bondsman. We pretty much had a gun trace task force guys telling everything. And I mean everything. And I really like a scene, and this is a flashback scene, where you got Wayne Jenkins pretty much talking to them as far as these two guys, the main two guys anyway, Gondo and I forgot my other man's name, but it's Gondo and the other guy that's sitting at the club with him or whatever. And they basically, Gondo told him, like, yo, nigga, I told you we was like on a federal investigation. And Wayne sitting there like, man, you know those take years or whatever. But he basically telling them, like, from now on, like, y'all can't be putting my name on shit. Like, it got to be y'all too. I was just sitting there in the way old Buddy was looking at Buddy. He was like, man, shit, I don't know. But to me, it was almost like they knew shit was about to go down. Gondo and old Buddy, they was already on it anyway. But to me, they was more of the type was like, I mean, shit gonna happen when it happen. It is what it is. We just gonna keep the train moving. Because remember one of those episodes, if not the last episode, the episode before last, I was like, they know they under in federal investigation, but they whole thing, we don't give a fuck, like, let's keep it going until something comes down. So that was interesting, man. But like I said, my man Wayne Jenkins is in all denial. And even when he's sitting there talking to Gondo now, he is still sitting there like, I'm not a dirty cop. These guys running around as far as the department talking about me, saying this and the third about me. I've been out here and this and the third. And even Gondo don't look at him like, nigga, you is the, like, what the fuck is you talking? Man, shout out to the performance of John Bethroff, because it's not just him and Forrest, those first couple episodes, showing how much of an asshole he is, showing how dirty he actually is and corrupt he actually is. It's him in another performance of Start the Denial. Like, you sitting there looking at this nigga like, damn, did you really do that? Yes, he did it. We was watching it together. I'm just saying, though, it's how much he's in the denial. I feel like he just got to the point where, think about the years. Think about how long he was getting away with stuff and doing stuff or whatever. He just got to that point where he really was into that mind frame of that, no, what I'm doing is not bad. I am policing or whatever. But, man, it's the way they start just going in. And then, once again, while they're talking to these guys from the Gun Trace Task Force, who pretty much are telling them that Wayne Jenkins not only is the main guy, but he was doing the most savage of shit that they was doing, it's the bondsman who comes in. My man acts like he couldn't wait. Like, it ain't the fact that, like, I know some shit gonna go down, but it's the fact that I'm ready to talk. He couldn't wait. My man was standing there ready to get him every single thing. And it's the fact that even shit that they didn't know, I think it was either some drugs that, because I'm guessing when they arrested him, they searched his place or whatever, and they found shit or whatever. But he telling them like, yo, you know you forgot to find the coke, right? The cocaine. Yo, that's under the what's the name? Like, he was ready. And more than likely, he would either not get sentenced or get a very, very light sentence or probably even probation, being that he ain't no, of course he probably not going to be a bondsman or anything like that no more, but he ain't a cop or whatever. He was like working, basically seeming like he was working for a dirty cop. But not only that, it's the information he's giving up. So more than likely, because I don't even remember them saying anything about him getting any time. I don't remember them saying that or anything as far as towards the end of the show. But it's the fact that my man, the gesture, like he was like, let's go. I'm telling you everything. I will give you all of it. Whatever. I'm ready to cooperate with everything, man. And this goes back to my man Wayne Jenkins, because they showing these images or whatever, him sitting in the cell, really reminiscing, not really reminiscing, but thinking about everything he's done and thinking about not only the guys as far as his gun trace task force, but everybody he felt like he thought wasn't gonna tell on him or whatever. And that's the thing, man. Like, he is, once again, if it ain't the denial that he's innocent, it's the denial that, nah, these guys are not going to tell on me. And the fact that they had been told on him, like, it was already over. We also jumped back to Nicole, man. And y'all remember when we first met Nicole, that first episode, that conversation where she was like, the whole thing as far as the Civil Rights Justice Department and her first getting down there and her saying she doesn't make it her everything. Of course, that's all that's changed. And you can see not just the passion, but more of anything, the anger in her in this last episode. But it's really that exchange between her and the character that Trent Williams is playing. Shout out to that actor. He been in great things. But anyway, it's that exchange. Because he's sitting there basically telling her, like, yo, the whole war on drugs, this shit has been over. We've been lost. This whole thing, the procedure, everything, like the way he breaks it down and the way he's talking to her and the way he asks her, like, you are angry, right? You angry. Because he's basically telling, like, I've been fighting this war. Like, I've been doing this. We lost a long time ago. And there ain't no such thing as a war on drugs anymore. And that's my whole thing with the people behind the wire and them doing this show. The reality check. It's like the shit you do not want to hear, because don't nobody want to hear, oh no, it's still a war going on drugs, because the way he breaks it down as far as with a war, you got casualties, you got a victor, and you got somebody who lost, and this and the third, but ain't none of that going on with this so-called war on drugs. It's still going on. And if anything, he's like, Louise lost. Look at how everything has exceeded. Look at the newer drugs, that everything that's coming in. And it's really a good exchange between them two and a good conversation, because it's like the way he breaks it down to her is almost like she throws her hands up. And even her exchange with another gentleman, as far as I think somebody who had a run-in with the cops because he was on earlier episodes, she basically proceeds to show him some type of paper that they have basically drawn up, I guess trying to throw new procedures at to try to help or try to eliminate the police brutality and everything. But the whole thing with him, and I love what he say, it's like, you basically showing me new ways of them trying to catch us or them hunting us. That's his words, them hunting us. It's like everywhere she's turned, and it's another good scene with her sitting in a district court, just looking at how the procedures are going, just seeing the basically replay of everything just going and moving fast forward, and just like ain't nothing changing. It's like you got people who got court-appointed lawyers who not even in the room because they are too busy handling other cases because they already got so many cases on their plate, and these are developing cases from whether it's legit arrest or maybe not legit arrest. It's everything she's seeing, and it's the way that all her mood and her attitude has changed from that first episode, saying basically like she don't make it her everything. Excuse me, y'all, losing my voice. But it's her coming into this last episode, and it's everything now. It's everything and then some now. So it's real good to see. Well, it's not good, but it's just to see how much her character has changed and the way her feelings and emotions have changed towards the situations that she's a part of since that first episode. We also get to the police commissioner and the mayors, basically still going over certain things as far as the budget, trying to do these things, and this police commissioner is really trying to push forward for getting extra money to have some type of help with not only extra cameras and stuff, basically better police reform, so they have better viewing and better knowledge of things that's going on once these situations happen, like it did with the Freddie Gray situation or whatever. But once again, if it's not the mayor, you got everybody basically sitting up here telling him wherever these budget cuts are gonna come from or wherever this money gonna come from, it can't come from the thing she has going on. What she's basically saying is the schools and the education and everything like that. Man, I'm telling you, this don't take you back to The Wire where you had a whole thing going on, and when you know my man had did the whole thing with the Amsterdam, moving everybody into the one neighborhood, but then going into season 4 when they come in with the kids or whatever, it's that whole argument again with them trying to do everything as far as the budget or whatever, but it was almost reversed a little bit, wasn't it? Because it was them trying to get money for schools or whatever, and then you know you're going to the Wire season 5 and the police department is dead broke, and all of that is going on. And like I said, look how long ago that show was, the years going back, and look where we at now with this. So you just basically got them doing what they do in politicking, and it's really how this ends, because I didn't know none of this. And them showing you that not only was this mayor, but they end up firing the police commissioner, and he actually predicts this, telling them like they're gonna put all this on me as far as this whole thing with the gun trace task force. But it's the ending of this episode, and it's them letting you know that not only the corruption, how high it went up, the mayor ends up being what's her name for tax evasion. She served 3 years. The new police commissioner she brings in, he's hit with tax evasion and fraud. Both of them are hit with tax evasion and fraud. And this is 4 months after she bringing this man in. Like, the level of corruption like they going to, because I was not like, damn. You talking about, and that's, I think, one of the reasons why they was doing the whole thing with the money. Like, it wasn't about the schools or whatever. They was already getting money and stealing money. So that's where the money was basically going to, and why she wasn't trying to cut the budget or trying to get him the money for the police reform. It was just crazy just seeing how high and how far that corruption was going, especially with everything in Baltimore. Like, this was your mayor, your police commissioner, people who had proceedings over hiring these individuals that they was bringing in. So, like, it's a really good scene at the end that I'm going to talk about. It's a really good scene, but going from there, we head to the court hearings. Everybody pretty much getting their sentences, and the standout sentences is definitely Wayne Jenkins. He did not cooperate at all. And I think one of the reasons is they talk about it too in the court is that he didn't want, I guess, the public, including his wife and people, to see him as a drug dealer. He like the thieving and stealing or whatever, one thing, but he wanted to, I guess, keep all of that under wraps, because once they brought the bondsman in, all of that was going to come out if he had ended up taking a deal or something, or any of that. So his whole thing, and once again, it's even going back to him feeling like, yo, I'm innocent. Like, this ain't, like, I'm not supposed to be in this situation. It's his own mind frame. This is what he's thinking in his mind, and he's taking it all the way to the court where he's willing to take this time, which they end up giving this man, Wayne Jenkins, 25 years in a federal prison. Like, the extent, 25 years in a federal prison, and no cooperation. Like, say what you want to say about the nigga, but I ain't gonna say he really held it down, because it was more about him saving face for himself and his image or whatever. But, what do it matter when you serving 25 years in a federal prison, my guy? Basically, then you go to everybody else, because you know everybody else pretty much cooperated, but except one of the guys, which was the supervisor, and he ended up getting, I think, 15 or 16 years, something like that. He didn't cooperate, but Gondo and the other guys, I think they got 12 years, and the guys that didn't take the money, those individuals that was telling everything with Wayne Jenkins as far as him stealing drugs with him, they got, I think, 8 years apiece, 8 or 7 years apiece. Daniel Hurst and another guy that was a part of the gun trace task force, they ended up taking it to trial and losing and getting convicted, and I think they got 18 years apiece. Man, I'm telling you, I think if anything, even with Daniel Hurst and them, these guys was in denial, because him taking it to trial, like, nigga, like, they got evidence of this stuff, and you wanted to take it to trial. But really with Wayne Jenkins, man, I think it was really with Wayne Jenkins and just seeing his expression about everything, just seeing the way it took everything, because even him looking back at his wife, it's like, this, like, I just couldn't no, because I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just the fact that even after everything it went down, and like I said, he knew these people would tell on him. He still wasn't willing to cooperate and willing to go do what he did. And I'm like, damn, what type of denial is that, man? I'm serious. Because we watched this guy and everything he was doing, the planting of the evidence. I mean, they even got into that, and I meant to talk about that, but they even got into that. You know, when my man came in and he had hit an individual in one episode and he planted a gun on him because he said he had seen a gun, they brung all of that up. But it's really just watching him and going through the proceedings, and he even talked a little bit towards the judge or whatever, but it's this whole thing with him not cooperate, and even the cops asked him, and that's where I kind of get a hint of where the direction he was going, because they like, why wouldn't he take the deal? And it was like, if he go out like this, then he's just a thief. But if he take the deal, then he's a thief, drug dealer, and then, you know, they start talking about like the prostitution and all of it, because, you know, he was in the strip clubs partying with the bondsmen or whatever. So it's just crazy, man. But yeah, my man took that, and we even get images of him in the federal prison, guards taunting him or whatever, telling them, because I'm thinking right now he's in probably protective custody, but sooner or later they already saying that he's about to go in the general population. They talking about how they gonna have to start protecting him or whatever. But even then, once he's walking out on the yard, he's still talking. He's saying, I'm one of the best police officers they had in Baltimore, because, you know, well, I don't know, because I ain't, you know what I'm saying, being locked up like that, but I'm just saying, being that he's an ex-cop, going to prison, like, word gets around. So now he's like one of the best noticeable guys. And then on that, you in a federal prison. So it's watching him and still seeing that even behind those walls, it's some type of denial still going on in his mind frame. So that's one of the craziest things too about this. But more importantly, I feel like overall, besides the corruption behind what these guys were doing as far as the gun trace task force, it's really the whole thing with Baltimore as a city. But I feel like it's the light being put on Baltimore. I feel like this is a worldwide thing. You have no idea probably what's going on in these certain, whether it's mayors, police stations or whatever, especially in these big cities or whatever. The fact that the light is being shined on Baltimore is one thing, because you got people as far as the people behind the show, like Ed Burnsdale, who I think was a journalist, and the other guy, I can't forget, David Simon. Yeah, David Simon, who's I think behind this, who I think is an ex-cop in Baltimore or whatever. These guys are so indulge and know everything as far as the system and been through it. That's why they're able to do this and write these type of stories. And I think if you got other visuals who started to try to do that from other cities or whatever, who can know about that corruption, you'll probably get these type of stories. Because I even said something like that, like, why we won't get the version of The Wire like in Los Angeles, New York, or other places like Atlanta, or like just all type of different places where we get this story. But we know this story as far as the whole war on drugs, police corruption, all of that, the whole thing behind the justice system or whatever, and how that's like all of that, man. It's not just Baltimore, it's everywhere. So the thing with me though is just this show, and like I said, having the people behind the wire, whatever, I just enjoyed this. I didn't enjoy the things that was going on. I didn't enjoy seeing the reality check, but I enjoy just getting good writing, good performances or whatever, and seeing everybody from the wire in these roles or whatever that I haven't either seen in a long time, or coming back to these similar characters. Even though they was most of the people who was either hardcore drug dealers or whatever in the wire, they was playing civilians or more around good characters or whatever. And once again, shout out to Marlo coming in, pulling off the role or whatever. I mean, Jamie Hector, whatever. But overall, I feel like this is an important series. That's why I feel like more than anything, and I feel like, of course, it doesn't have the big action sequences, and like I said, it doesn't have all of that, but the story alone should keep your attention, to be honest, and that's what kept my attention. Like I said, it had all moments that I needed for me, because The Wire wasn't like this big show that always had big police shootouts. Well, it had its moments, it had them, but they wasn't like 5-10 minute moments. You know how you get in like shows like Power or Snowfall, even though I enjoy those shows, and even a show like Snowfall I feel like times has messages here and there. But overall, you definitely should check out We Own This City if you haven't. I like this show. I can't say I loved it. I'm not going to sit here and say that, but I did really like it. The Wire is still up there top tier as far as shows. But anytime I hear as far as these guys from The Wire doing the new show or whatever, I'm definitely going to be looking forward to it, especially if it's based in Baltimore. And shout out to the people of Baltimore, man. Definitely shout out to the people of Baltimore, man. Well, overall, y'all let me know how y'all feel about this final episode of We Own This City. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification bell to let you know when I upload new videos. This is the road to 500 subs. We almost there. Other than that, man, we out.
What case? This ain't no Pablo Escobar, it's the police.
In a war, you need warriors.
On the ground, get down on the ground.
You have enemies. In a war, civilians get hurt and nobody does anything. In a war, you count the bodies and then you call them victories. Aren't you angry?
Say, look, ask me, do I want a problem?
No, I don't think you
I don't ever want a problem. But when they say they want a problem, I say, no problem. That's it.